This is CBS 7 News at 10, your eye on West Texas.
We begin tonight with a developing story out of West Odessa. A heavy police presence in one neighborhood this Halloween night after a man is killed during a deputy-involved shooting. It happened about 7:30 in the 4000 block of North Uranus Road. The Ector County Sheriff's Office, DPS troopers, and Texas Rangers are all on the scene. My partner Jay Hendricks joins us now live from the neighborhood with more on what exactly led to the shooting tonight. Jay?
Tatum, good evening. I'm coming to you from the 4000 block of Uranus here in West Odessa, where tonight, as you can see behind me, still a very active scene. We have DPS troopers who are here, Texas Rangers, investigating a shooting of a man by an Ector County Sheriff's deputy. Now, this all started about 7:15 tonight. Deputies were called out here after the reports of a man in a yard who was waving a silver handgun, threatening people in this neighborhood. Sheriff's deputies say that they then came and confronted the man. He had the gun in his waistband, and during a confrontation, he went to grab that, and according to deputies, pointed it at them, and he was fired upon, shot, and killed tonight. This is now a Texas Ranger investigation because it was an officer-involved shooting. That is common procedure, according to the Ector County Sheriff's Department. Now, Sheriff Mark Donaldson was also out here. Gary Dusler with the Sheriff's Department tells us that Donaldson is usually out and about on shift change. He happened to be in this area and came by and was also here to help deputies who were here initially in investigating exactly what happened. It is now a Texas Ranger case. No names have been released. We do not know the name of the man who was shot and killed, nor do we know the name of the sheriff's deputy who was involved. Once again, Texas Rangers are out here, which is common procedure here, and they will be here throughout the evening gathering information. The CID unit with Sheriff's Department is also here. DPS troopers are here, and they anticipate they will be here for a while, continuing their investigation into what happened. We will, of course, stay here on the scene. We will bring you more information as it becomes available. Keep it here. Go to our website at cbs7.com for the very latest. Reporting live in West Odessa, I'm Jay Hendricks. Tatum, back to you.
Jay, thanks very much. Now to a CBS 7 special report. They are dangerous, powerful, and falling in the hands of West Texas children. Tonight, we investigate synthetic drugs being sold right here in the Permian Basin. According to the National Institute on Drug Abuse, synthetic drugs are human-made products produced by a chemist. They are marketed as safe, legal alternatives to real drugs that they imitate. Although some are considered legal, recent federal laws ban the sale of many synthetic drugs in the United States. The drugs are sold under names like K2, Spice, Salvia, and bath salts, and they are usually marked with labels that state they are not for human consumption. But when they are in a human system, they're not only going to give you a high, they also cause mind-damaging effects. Synthetic drug users say these drugs take a toll on your body and on your personal life. And the newness of the drugs make it easy to get and hard for law enforcement officials to monitor. Synthetic drugs are sold over the counter at adult bookstores, smoke shops, and even many convenience stores. Tonight, in part one of Synthetics Uncovered, CBS 7's Felicia Bolton investigates synthetic marijuana sold right here in West Texas, and she speaks with a drug user who uses them himself. Felicia?
Synthetic marijuana users say these powerful human-made narcotics have turned their lives upside down, and they're easy to get no matter how old you are. It looks, smells, and is smoked just like the real thing. Synthetic marijuana comes in these small packages and carries a big punch. Users say it's highly addictive, and it's the drug of choice to stay off testing radars.
Before this time that I was in the youth center, I had a friend that did it, and that's when I started, but I didn't really do it that much. But when I got out, that's when it came to me that it's legal and they don't come out on a drug test. So I'm gonna go ahead and start.
Synthetic marijuana users say they buy it right here in West Texas, but not on the streets. The drugs are sold over the counter at many local smoke shops, adult bookstores, and even convenience stores. Many ingredients in synthetic marijuana have been banned by the federal government, but chemists continue to find a loophole by changing chemical compounds, making the drug legal. The National Institute on Drug Abuse reports that the side effects can be stronger than those of real marijuana. Some cases include psychotic fits, like extreme anxiety, paranoia, and hallucinations. But the dangers continue. In many cases, minors are walking into an 18 and older store, buying the synthetic marijuana, and no one is checking their ID.
They're 18 and older, and you must have ID before entering, but that's just what they put.
And do they ever card you?
No, they don't ID me.
Do you think you look like an 18-year-old, or do you?
Well, not really, I know.
How old do you think you look?
I don't know, about, I think, 14, 15.
And how old are you really?
13.
The 13-year-old says he's addicted to synthetic marijuana. It's a problem his mother says has tormented their family, pushing her to take action to get these drugs out of her son's hands.
I told him that if he ever went back into that store, to please not tell it to him, to ask him to leave. Or if I found out that he was still able to purchase those items with them, that I was going to take another step higher and that I was going to go to the police or wherever I had to stop them from selling that to him.
This family has been changed by synthetic drugs. It's a downward spiral that's very familiar to former user Tanis Harrelson.
I couldn't hold a job because I was so angry, and whenever I wasn't using it, I just didn't care. I mean, it was, I didn't want to use, or I did want to use, but I didn't want to keep on using it.
The 22-year-old was addicted to synthetic marijuana for months and says he was never asked to show his ID when he entered local shops.
I mean, I guess it's one of those things that it says you have to be 18 or older to enter, and to enter the shop. And I think people just assume that kids aren't going to come in just because of the sign, and they should know better. And I don't know, and that's why I don't want these kids that are having to still buy these drugs and still have it available. I don't want that life for them.
It's a dangerous trend and a dangerous lifestyle, and the availability of this drug is growing across the basin. Join us tomorrow night at 10 when we go undercover in these shops. We'll show you how easy it is to get this drug. We ask law enforcement what they're doing to stop it, and we'll take an in-depth look at the laws behind it. Plus, we'll introduce you to an Odessa leader who is trying to put an end to it all. Reporting in the newsroom, Felicia Bolton, CBS 7 News.
Felicia, thanks very much. Let's switch gears now to weather. It was a cool night for trick-or-treaters who were outside tonight. Let's check in right now with our weather specialist, Daryl Ward, for a look at what we can expect tomorrow morning. Daryl?
Indeed, very warm day today. Things have cooled down some. We have a pleasant evening going for us, and it's going to continue cooling on through the night. Not cold, but here's what we're looking at for in the morning. A pretty mild start for your day tomorrow. Clear skies, cool in the city of Odessa. 52 for the start of your day tomorrow morning. 51 in Midland. Light winds variable out of the south for Midland. And for Big Spring, 52 tomorrow morning under clear skies. So you can see it's going to be a nice start. Cool, then 47 in Pecos with light and variable winds. 53 in Fort Stockton, and again winds out of the south, about 5 to 10 miles an hour. 47 in Alpine in the morning. Northwest winds light. 38, that's going to be the cool spot in our neighborhood, verging on cold. 38 in Marfa, north light winds now for tomorrow. No hazardous weather expected, but a lot of sunshine, very warm temperatures for this time of year, even warmer than we saw today. Now, I'll come back here in just a few minutes. We'll talk about how warm and how long this unseasonably warm weather is going to be lasting. Tatum?
Daryl, thank you. Now with your eye on education. Election day is in less than a week, and many voters are still undecided when it comes to the school bond elections in Ector and Midland counties. As CBS 7's Shannon Murray explains, there is one question in particular on the mind of some undecided voters. Shannon?
In Ector County, the $129 million bond proposal will build new elementary schools, renovate the current buildings, and move ninth graders up to the high school campuses. But many of you at home have asked the question, why doesn't the proposal include a new high school altogether? And it turns out the reasoning behind it is much more than a high school rivalry.
More than 2,000 Permian High School students rush to their next class.
If the school bond passes next week, you can add another 1,000 kids onto that.
Trying to make a big school kind of feel smaller.
For Principal Roy Garcia, that has always been his goal for the 5A campus.
We're divided into dens, and so each den has about 650 kids, and it has a principal in it, a counselor, an attendance clerk, some other clerical help.
Over the past few months, principals at both high schools have spent time meeting with teachers, parents, and students about how to make it all work if the bond passes, and they've thought of it all.
Striping the hall down the middle like you drive out there. Everybody walk on the right side.
He also took a trip to Allen ISD, a mega high school with more than 5,000 students.
I said, I want to see a lunch. I want to see how you feed 950 kids in a cafeteria.
But representatives of Odessans for Kids say the option of adding a high school is still up for discussion down the road.
We knew that the most immediate need was at the elementary and the middle school level. I absolutely believe that at some point in the future that there should be conversations about how our high schools are configured.
The committee says the fact is a new high school would take more debate and research from the community.
It requires a total redistricting and realignment of the boundaries for high school.
Another issue, cost. Building a third high school would cost an estimated $75 million. And on top of that, taxpayers would be responsible for the operating cost, which comes out to about $9 million a year forever. Another concern, how do you find all of the additional teachers and staff it would take to run a new high school in an already tight job market? Odessans for Kids believes this is a discussion worth having, but one that could overshadow the urgency for change in ECISD.
Another issue with adding 9th grade students to the high schools is the parking lot. Mr. Garcia says parking spaces won't be an issue since the students that would be coming in don't drive, but they would come up with a new plan for pickup and drop off on campus. In the studio with your Eye on Education, Shannon Murray, CBS 7 News.
Shannon, thank you. Bringing 9th graders up to the high school campuses will also move the district to the middle school model. This means 6th graders will move out of the elementary schools to join 7th and 8th graders on the middle school campuses, while 9th graders are moved to a campus with other high school students. School leaders say the model works because 9th graders who are excelling can take advanced classes, but students who are falling behind won't feel like outcasts who are stuck in a junior high while their classmates move on. Supporters say this move will encourage more students to graduate.
I've got kids that are getting driver's permits, they're earning high school credits. Well, I have other ones that are 12 years old and they're still children.
The district says the middle school model also helps with transportation costs because 9th grade students will not need to be bused up to the high schools throughout the day for higher level classes and athletics. ECISD is currently one of only 5 districts in the state that is using the junior high model as opposed to the middle school concept. New information now on a story you first saw here on CBS 7 News. A toddler was found wandering near a busy highway twice. Now police say Child Protective Services is investigating. A Midland family spotted the toddler near Loop 250 and Silver Creek Apartments on Monday night, just steps away from oncoming traffic. It turns out the toddler is the same child who was found near the same highway 2 months ago. City officials say after police arrived on the scene, CPS was contacted, and now they are investigating the case. A man is behind bars in connection with a murder investigation in Big Spring. CBS 7 has learned that murder suspect Chris Marquez was arrested in Santa Angelo. He's being held at the Tom Green County Jail. Marquez is wanted in connection with a deadly shooting over the weekend. 33-year-old Luis Adolfo Pena was killed in that shooting. As the Northeast is taking stock of the overwhelming devastation left from Superstorm Sandy, our local Red Cross is making the trip up north to help the victims. Today, our local Red Cross chapter was called into action and will be leaving tomorrow to aid those impacted by the storm. More than 9,000 people stayed at Red Cross facilities in 13 states after the storm. The American Red Cross is anticipating recovery work to continue through Thanksgiving in some of the affected areas. Just ahead, weather specialist Daryl Ward is back after the break with a look at your 7-day forecast. You're watching CBS 7 News, your eye on West Texas.